Okay, welcome in one and all. I'm now going to continue my 32 and 32 with the Vancouver Canucks. And as I do with all the videos, I like to display the home jersey and the reverse retro. And this one for the Canucks is kind of neat, as it's like an homage to the Johnny Canuck, the cartoon from way back when. I remember they used to have him like on like the shoulders of their jerseys in the past, and now they've actually put them on full display in the very front. So I have to say that's pretty interesting. And you obviously have the dark blue and then the green and white as well. So it's an interesting jersey to say the least. I don't love it, but I don't hate it at all. It's more towards the like side than it is towards the hate side, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's where I'm going to stick with my opinion on the Canucks jersey on the reverse retro, I guess. So last season, the Vancouver Canucks finished with 38 wins, 37 losses, and 7 overtime/shootout losses for 83 points, missing the postseason for the third straight year. The last time they made the postseason was in the 2020 bubble, and then they defeated the Minnesota Wild in the play-in round. I want to say they upset the St. Louis Blues in the tactical first round of the playoffs in 6 games, and then they took the Vegas Golden Knights to 7 games after trailing that series 3 games to 1, and ultimately they fell short in that seventh and deciding game to be able to advance further in the postseason. So I guess no postseason sense, and we'll see if their luck switches with this upcoming year. So a few notable free agents that they have signed in the offseason. They've brought in Teddy Bluger from the Vegas Golden Knights. They've also brought in defenseman Ian Cole from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Carson Soucy from the Seattle Kraken, Pius Suter from the Detroit Red Wings, and they've also brought in Matt Irwin, another veteran defenseman, and he is coming over from the Washington Capitals. So as I do with all the videos, I'll take a look at their roster from last season and see who has re-signed, who has yet to sign, or who has signed with another club. So take a look at their goaltending situation. So their number one guy, Thatcher Demko, still has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Colin Delia has signed with the Winnipeg Jets. So he has left. And now we'll take a look at their defensive players and forwards as well. So Ethan Bear's contract did run up last year, but he is still a free agent. Anthony Beauvillier was brought over from the Islanders in the Bo Horvat trade. He has 1 more year left to go on his contract, and I got a funny feeling that if you want to lock this guy up, you got to do it sooner rather than later, because if he happens to go to free agency, I'm sure any other team in the league would love to get his talent. Brock Besser. Oh, hold on a second. There we go. Sorry. Brock Besser still has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Julien Brisebois, his contract did run out this past season, but he has re-signed for 2 more years at $775,000. Kyle Burrows, he has now signed with the San Jose Sharks. Travis Dermott, he has signed with the Arizona Coyotes. Philippe Di Giuseppe, his contract did expire this past season, but just like Brisebois, he has signed a 2-year, $775,000 contract. Sheldon Dries, I should say, is coming into the last year of his contract. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's contract has been bought out by the Vancouver Canucks, and he has since signed with the Florida Panthers. Michael Ferland, the last time he played was in the 2019-2020 season, and he's just on the books more or less. And I believe his contract did run up. As you can see, it only showed the 1 year left for last year. So coming into the 2023-2024 campaign, he should be off the books and off the roster of the Vancouver Canucks. Connor Garland has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Akita Hiros has re-signed on a 2-year deal, so he'll be back with the Canucks. Philip Hronik, I do apologize, he was traded from the Red Wings to the Canucks last season. He's coming into the last year of his deal, and depending on how the Canucks do by the trade deadline, if they're in a position to compete for a playoff spot, I'm sure they'll want to get him signed. So therefore, they don't have to worry about free agency. However, if for some reason the Canucks are out of the playoffs by the time, or feel like they're out of the playoffs by the time that the trade deadline comes, I would not be surprised if he got flipped for a pick or whatever the case may be. Quinn Hughes, the newest captain of the Vancouver Canucks, has 4 more years left to go on his contract. Dakota Joshua is coming into the last year of his deal. Noel Juleson has re-signed on a 2-year deal as well, so he shall be back with the Canucks, whether it's the team or their AHL. He's still signed for 2 more seasons. Vitaly Krastov, his contract did expire, and he is still a pending free agent. Andrei Kuzmenko, his contract did expire last year, but he has re-signed on a 2-year, $5.5 million deal. Aiden McDonough has 1 more left to go on his contract, as does Cole McWard. Ilya Mikheyev has 3 more years left to go on his contract. JT Miller's contract, I do apologize, did expire last year, but as you can see on the screen, he has re-signed for 7 more seasons at $8 million per. Tyler Myers is coming into the last year of his contract. Tanner Pearson was traded to the Montreal Canadiens. Elias Pettersson, he's coming into the last year of his contract, and if you're a Canucks fan, I'm sure you want to get this guy signed ASAP, because there's one thing that I believe, I'm sure some players might think, sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I'm sure some players might say to the media that they don't think about their contracts, or they try to put on the back burner as the season goes along. But you know that that's probably one of the first things that they're actually thinking about. I think they're just kind of BSing it whenever they do get interviewed. But I'm sure this guy will want to get a new contract done sooner rather than later. And if you're the Canucks, you want to get this guy signed before next offseason, because I'm sure there will be a lot of suitors going after his services. And yeah, like I said, it's going to be an interesting season, to say the least, as to what they are going to do with Elias's contract. Vasily Podkolzin is coming into the last year of his contract. Tucker Pullman has 2 more years left to go on his deal. Jake Strudica, his contract did expire last season, but he has re-signed for 1 more year at $765,000. Christian Wolanin, defenseman, his contract did expire last year, but he has re-signed for 2 more seasons at $775,000. And Nils Alman is coming into the last year of his contract. So now I'll just bring back the main menu, pull up the team's logo, and make my predictions for this upcoming year. Just make sure we're somewhat straight focused. Okay, so coming into the 2023-2024 campaign for the Canucks, I think they should improve their record from last season. I just think it's going to be a dogfight to get into any of the wild card spots. As I've said in all my other videos, when it comes to that Pacific Division, I believe the 3 teams that are locked in at the 1, 2, 3 slot are the Golden Knights, the Oilers, and I believe the Kings should also get back into that top 3 slot, pending another team doesn't take over or one of those teams happen to go on a cold streak. I just think it's going to be a split between the Central and the Pacific when it comes to wildcard positions. And then I'm looking at teams such as the Kraken, maybe the Flames are able to potentially get back in the postseason. And then you look at the Central, you have, I believe, the Predators, maybe the Blues could possibly squeeze into one of those 2 spots. So I'm going to have the Vancouver Canucks out when it comes to the postseason this upcoming year. As I do with all my videos, I put content out almost on the daily. If you like what you see and you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that sub button. And as always, take care.